Oh, I'm so happy to see attendees coming in.
And get people, so we know people are here.
You know people are actually here.
That's that list on the right, right?
That's the one on the right.
Right, yeah, see.
All right.
Tina, what should I list as Gina Snyder's business?
Just Gina Schneider, consulting. She's a consultant. Okay. I'll just keep going. Are you ready, Shawna?
Am I starting?
Yeah.
Right now, is everybody in? All our
Right
attendees?
now we are.
So we're live?
We are.
Yay! Hi, everybody, and welcome today to the first of our Women in Business webinar series. We're doing this series as part of National Women's Small Business Month. Traditionally, we would like to do this in person and be able to have it an all day long event, interact with each other, really give each other support, use each other as sounding boards, collect ideas, and encourage each other, all of us women in business. This year, we're taking it virtually. I know we've all struggled this year with COVID and how that has affected us in our businesses and in our daily lives. We are hoping that this webinar series will help us find that connection with other women in business, give us some encouragement, find out about some other people's stories, and really just keep us in there and chugging forward with moving our businesses and being successful in our own lives and for all the women in business. I just want to recognize a couple of people. First and foremost, our sponsors. Our series sponsor for all of the webinars taking place in October is Medic Ambulance. So thank you very much for that, Medic. We have individual webinar sponsors, which include Toro University and Crystal Properties. So they're each sponsoring one of the webinars this month. And then a special thank you to Vallejo Insurance Associate. Their sponsorship has allowed us to have attendees join these webinars for free. So thank you very much to all of our sponsors. I also want to say a thank you to the committee, all the women that worked so hard to put this together and set everything up. Our committee was led by our community promotions chair, Jean Kilkenny-Turk from Vallejo Insurance Associates, our very own Tina Fowler from the Vallejo Chamber, who is our membership and marketing coordinator. Myself from Times Herald and the 2020 board chair for the chamber. Thank you. I love how Helen's clapping. Thank you, Helen. Josette Lacey from Supervisor Aaron Hannigan's office, District 1. Gina Snyder, consultant. Annette Taylor from the City of Vallejo Economic Development. And Andrea Garcia of Toro University. Without all these women, this great group, putting their heads together and brainstorming to come up with this series, this would not be possible. So thank you guys so much for that. I'm going to jump right into this because we have a great panel today and I'm really excited to hear what they have to say. So I'm going to introduce our moderator, Helen Pierson, with the CEO of Medic Ambulance. So welcome, Helen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm going to stop you 1 second. I've had 3 people text me. I want to assure all of the attendees this is a webinar. So at this point, we cannot see or hear you. The only people that can be seen or heard are the panelists. So I just wanted to make sure you guys all knew that. So, you can feel free to, chomp away.
Whatever's comfortable. Hi, guys. Hello, everybody. I can't believe it's already been a year. Do you remember last year? We had our gathering and we were at beautiful Toro University. Now listen, I don't want to say anything against the Vallejo Chamber of Commerce office. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but you guys, there's nothing like being in person, in front of you, being able to see your beautiful faces and being able to see your eyes and just be able to really interact. So this is going to be new. It's kind of difficult to be on Zoom, but I'm just glad that we're going forward. That's what we need to do. Hey, this is just thinking outside the box. Listen to that committee that organized this. We can't go wrong. This is a good thing. And I'm just excited about today. Not only the topic on how to succeed doing it your way, but not only the fact of what a great topic that is for the women, but for dynamic, energetic, successful women that we have this afternoon that have taken time out of their busy schedule to be with us this afternoon and share with us their success stories. You know, the other thing is, it's Solano. It's all about us, girls. It's all about us. It starts here, and I'm telling you, we are the ones that spread the fever. We go national. They're going to catch this, and they're going to go, what are they doing in Vallejo? These guys are smart, and look at these women that are on here. We need to take this national. So I'm telling Tina and James they need to listen to the phones, because I know it's going to ring, because I cannot wait to hear the stories, and knowing these four ladies, I'm excited to share them with you all. And again, thank you. Thank you so much for being part of this series and for supporting the Vallejo Chamber of Commerce, and especially National Women's Small Business Month. And we're very much part of it. So with that, my friends, let's go with it. Our first question will go to Simone Lane, who is currently a partner in Lobdell & Lane Wealth Management. Simone, please tell us your name, which I just did for you. How nice of me. And basically, what do you do?
So again, I am Simone Lane, and I am in the business of wealth management. My firm is Lobdell & Lane, located in downtown Benicia.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Lisette?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to be a part of this amazing, amazing event. I'm Lisette Estrella-Henderson, and I'm the Solano County Superintendent of Schools, and I'm in the business of kids. Education.
God love you. Okay, our next person, Corrine Oakes.
Hello and hello to everyone, and I'm honored to be here, and getting that invitation was fabulous. I am the former owner of Twin Oaks Real Estate. Just sold the business August 31st. That is a definition of success right there as well. And I'm currently working for Twin Oaks Real Estate as an independent contractor, a realtor. Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here since you joined the Every Day is Saturday Club. That's nice. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Gigi.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Gigi Horton, and I am an insurance agent for State Farm Insurance. So I own my office in Fairfield and one in Vallejo. And I'm doing it for 17 years.
This is great. And that's, like I said, this is just wonderful. And I'm just getting right into it. Okay, so my friend Simone, here we go. How did you determine what it means to be successful?
I find it quite interesting. I think Corrine and I are just on opposite sides of our success stories. I just purchased my firm. Same September 1st was the day that I purchased it. But in determining what I call success, I find that it's a journey and not necessarily a destination. And it's a daily determination for me. I find that that happens every day when I show up. So that's what I would say success is.
And how true. So where she's every day is Saturday, your every day is Monday?
Every day, yes.
I got it. Sweet cakes. I'm with you though. I'm with you. All right. And how do you answer that, Lisette? What do you think?
Well, for me, a measure of success is when we have made a positive impact on the lives of children and families. We recognize that in order to have successful communities and an economy that is thriving in our local community, it's about having an education system that is focused on, preparing our young people for their future right here in our local communities. And when we are reaching families and kids and making a positive impact and having our families and our young people contribute to this local community and our economy and our thriving businesses, that's a huge measure of success.
It is. It truthfully is. Well said. And children, I mean, come on. I mean, really, they're our tomorrow. That's who we depend on.
Absolutely.
So I definitely agree with that, let me tell you. Corrine, what have you got to say?
What have I got to say? So I think success is very individual and determined by each person themselves on what it feels like to them. For me, it's engaged in the community, it's engaged with my family, and it's, especially as a small business owner, there is no separation between personal life and business life. So the same guiding principle is something that I've been able to apply 24 hours a day, which is engagement. And every person that I touch, I hope that I've touched them in a positive way. And that's it.
No, it's a mouthful. I'm with you. Gigi.
For me, I believe it's the true balance of balancing it all. I think it's a little bit more unique for women in the fact that, you know, we're kind of the CEO of our household as well with our children and you know, family. But I've always strived to make sure that I treat my business and my family and my health, my faith, that I don't ignore any of it because it all has to work together. And I say it's just like my hand, and every finger is really important. Whether I have a hangnail or a broken thumb, it matters to the whole hand. You feel it. So if I'm happy at work and I'm happy at home, I think it just works out. So if I can have every part of my life in a balance where not one thing is ignored or not getting enough of me, of course you have to be flexible with that. But as long as you're mindful and you're able to, you know, I'm married 28 years, my kids don't hate me. I'm in business for a while. I measure success that way, and that if I've helped other people and inspired them and made a difference in their life in every interaction, whether it be, you know, in my career or in my personal life.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well, you know, I mean, the answers to these questions, just well said. That's all I can say. Perfect. Perfect. So Simone, as I come back to you with this question here, how would you say, how did you achieve your success?
Okay. How did I achieve it? Well, I can't measure it in any one event or any one transaction. I would say that my success is the relationships that I have with those that I've come into contact with. But for the purpose of this forum, I would say it's as a business aspect. When I met my partner, my former partner, it was supposed to be a 2-week transition for him to move his client base from one firm to another. And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, but I'll tell you now, I'm a keeper. That was 12 years ago.
See what I mean?
And what I did with that is I took every opportunity to learn. I took every opportunity to learn the ins and outs of the industry, of experiencing someone with so much experience under his belt. He had been in the business almost 40 years. So I really took time to sit and glean and learn what that looked like. I got proper licensing. I think success in this industry for me was doing the work and taking the time to really know and listen to the things that were important, learning how to take the hard phone calls on the day after you invest a client and the next day the pandemic hits and the account goes down. And, you know, learning how to weather those storms. And so I did all of that. And I think that has been a great part of me achieving what I've achieved today.
And I agree with that. I agree. That's so true. That is so true. Lisette, how would you answer that question?
Wow. Well, as Simone said, I would say that it's a journey. And I've been in this business now for 34 years. It doesn't seem possible. But early on in my career, I think that something that was very inspirational to me was I was always running, going from one thing to the next, always working on Saturdays. You know, Gigi spoke about balance. I was a young teacher, had zero balance, but I was pursuing my passion, which is wanting to be a classroom teacher. In my classroom on the weekends, in my classroom on the evenings, and in my classroom on holidays. And my own mother stopped me one day and she said to me, "Where are you going so fast and why?" And I remember being struck by that question. I didn't realize how much that question would influence everything else that I was about to embark upon. And what I found was along the way that was the first question that really stopped me in my tracks and made me think very clearly about what it was that I was going to do with this opportunity to teach, to influence young people's lives in sometimes, now I look back, profound ways. And what I have found that really has helped me to achieve success is first authenticity and knowing myself, knowing who I am, knowing what I stand for, because you can't make a positive difference in the lives of others if you don't know what you stand for yourself first. The other thing is purpose, my why. Why am I even doing this? Why was I doing it early on as a classroom teacher? And why was I going to continue to pursue this every step of the way, even when there were challenges? As Simone said, those hard times. The other thing is that passion, having that unfailing commitment and desire to do whatever it is you choose to do. That's what will help you to contribute to your success. And you talk about advice, is knowing your why and knowing what you stand for, your passion, and having the commitment, because there are going to be valleys and dips along the way. And sometimes there will even be landmines.
Yes.
And you've got to have commitment. And I know that my commitment to my work is really what has helped me to achieve success. And I will also say nurturing others. And yes, nurturing our students, but it's about nurturing fellow women, whether in our profession or cross professions. We never know the impact that we will have. In fact, just last week, I had a young woman remind me of a lunch that we had. And she reminded me of the impact that my words had had on her. And what I thought was a simple gesture in sending her a book afterwards, she pulled the book out of her shelf, and I never realized the impact that would have. But it's also about paying it forward and nurturing others and supporting our fellow women in this amazing world of opportunity that we have. So I would say those are just a couple of things that have helped me to achieve what anyone might call success.
Fantastic.
Lisette,
Thank you.
I was lucky enough to be on that Zoom call when she pulled that book out, and I said, I said, my eyes are leaking. What's happening?
I know. Mine were too, but I was trying to keep it together. I was like, oh my gosh, how do I inconspicuously reach for a tissue? Yes. I had no idea.
Yeah, that was on the Toro
University
for their Hispanic Heritage kickoff.
Isn't
that was amazing?
Well, it's a great story.
Amazing.
I mean, when you know, when you touch that person and you have no idea what you did, just a simple little thing that for you, it was just, and for her, look at that, she had it and pulled out the book. Lisette, we did have a question from one of a person that is involved today, and they'd like to know how old you were when you started teaching.
12 and a half, maybe.
You're one of the younger teachers in Solano County, were you?
No, I'm not shy to say it. I was a young 23-year-old right out of college, right out of the credential program.
There you go. That's what they need to hear.
The reason I know that it was, I was teaching 2 years when I got married, and I've been married for 32 years. So, ways to calculate it. But I was a young teacher, just full of commitment and passion. And I would like to think that I still have that level of commitment and passion to the young people of our communities.
Well, you do, it shows, trust me. Thank you very much for sharing with that. Thank you. All right, Corrine, how would you like to share with us?
Well, first, I'd like to thank Lisette for everything that she does, because success really is a journey, and it starts even before we understand what that is and watching other people. And I was fortunate to have teachers such as Lisette that would impact me, and then watching my family and my parents who were successful business people themselves. In fact, they bought O'Connor Lumber Company back in 1963.
Wow.
So entrepreneurial small business has been in my blood forever, but just seeing those examples of other people. And for me, it wasn't really a path that I had determined. I just came to have faith that I was in the right place at the right time.
True.
No matter what was happening. Not that I was necessarily lucky, but that is where I was supposed to be. And so success ultimately with Twin Oaks Real Estate came when my husband and I moved back from overseas and established in Solano County and started a family. And that's how I found real estate, because I knew that corporate wasn't going to work for what I wanted to see with my children. So I found real estate, and it just kind of progressed. I didn't get a real estate license thinking I'm going to start a business. That came years later, and it was just kind of a progression. But I definitely didn't do it alone. I started at a very young age with influences. And then most recently with the success of Twin Oaks, it definitely was a team. It was having 20 other agents there who had the same values and the like-mindedness and incredible ideas to keep it cohesive and keep us marching in the same direction. And I'll be forever grateful for all those people who made such an impact on me.
Very nice. Thank you very much for sharing. That's fantastic. All right, Gigi Horton, what would you like to tell us on that?
Can you ask the question again?
Oh, absolutely.
I was jotting it down earlier, but
No problem. How did you achieve your success?
I guess I could say it was the long way around, honestly. And I never really knew I was chasing something, but I think I was just going through the motions in my life. I was a team member for many, many years for a State Farm agent. And I think just doing the job, working for an agent, I took pride in what I was doing and enjoyed it a lot, and didn't realize that I wanted to become an agent myself. And so, I mean, during this time, I had 2 children, and my husband and I were both trying to figure out how we would be able to finish school. We both were in the military and wanted to get money for an education, but we did the song, we got married, we had children, and my responsibility was to kind of spend more time with the kids at first. But I took jobs with State Farm agents that allowed me, I told them I would work very hard for them as long as I had the flexibility of being able to pick up my kid from school if they needed to. I wanted to be a room mom. I wanted to do all of those things. And I didn't know that my end game was to become an agent myself. But through perseverance and just honestly, I mean, I didn't finish college till I was 30 years old. But my husband and I both went to school. It was a team effort. You get creative. Because again, I wanted to balance it all out. So, in order for us to go to school, take care of children, be a room mom, work for a living. My husband was working as well, going to school. We decided that we were going to make some, like be creative and how we would do this. So it was a partnership between us, but honestly, it was just enjoying the ride during it all. And then one day it was just, you know, we had achieved it. I think success has always been, to me, when I have like a satisfaction of a good day's work and I had people that, you know, appreciated what I did. And it just felt like it just was day in and day out that we just kept doing that. So, you know, the long way, I mean, got married, went to school, you know, went to work in school. It felt like it was forever, but here it is 17 years later. I did start when I was 8. So.
Sure. Yeah.
But honestly, it was just, I think
12-year-old, right.
never giving up. And it was just a perseverance and just being happy with the job that I was already currently doing and doing the best that I could. And it just opened the doors for the next thing.
Absolutely.
So before she asks the next question, I just want to kind of point out a little bit, because one of the reasons that I brought you guys all together is the diversity of your occupations and the diversity of how you got where you are. And Gigi and I have talked a little bit about some of the values that her mom instilled in her. You know, I always say, for those of you that don't know, I'm Tina and I'm born and raised in Vallejo. There's a meme out there that says, it's got a picture of Matt Gray on it. And it says, how do you know someone's from Vallejo? Don't worry, wait 2 minutes and they'll tell you. I'm very proud of that. But one of the things that Gigi and I have talked about, because Gigi's also born and raised here, and one of the things that we've talked about is those values that were instilled in us. And I think it's important for us to recognize that all 4 of you, in defining your success, talked about sticking to your values. And I think that that's something that our attendees need to hear, because I think when we're looking at success, I mean, we're looking at success all over the board, right? But every single one of you said you made decisions that were in line with your core values, and getting there was following what your model was. And I think it's just important to talk about that and where those values came from and how you were able to stick to them despite whatever may have been coming at you. So sorry, I wanted to share that.
See, exactly, Tina, exactly. I mean, the whole topic is how to succeed doing it your way, right? And Simone, Lisette, Corrine, and Gigi shared with us their story, and the common threads is at the values. But here are some other things you guys were saying. How about family and faith? You took the opportunity, being at the right place at the right time. All of you said doing the work, constantly learning. It's a journey, desire, commitment. These are the things that the people that are listening in and want the assistance, the guidance, the motivation from you wonderful ladies out there that are willing to share and not take for granted that you do know the secret. And the secret is you're not scared to work. You're out there and you're putting skin in the game. You're out there because you have your dream and you're not expecting somebody to give it to you. You're taking it. The opportunity is there, the journey, you're taking the road and you want it and you're taking it and you're getting it. And you couldn't begin it if it wasn't you that did it, and you deserve the credit. And that is why you are successful. And that's what everyone needs to hear the story, because honestly, you know, when you look at today's families, and now add even COVID, and some of our kids in my situation are now teachers, oh God forbid. And I'm just saying, I mean, there's things that could be missed, things that we take for granted, but they don't know. And they haven't spoken to the kids because they don't have that family time anymore. They're coming home from work and they're being teachers or whatever the case. Maybe you understand what I'm trying to say? And you guys we're not taking for granted that to be successful, you just show up for work. No. You have a plan, you work, and you're there, you're devoted. It's a commitment and you do it, but you do it with faith and you do it with family. Because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able, because we got to have somebody helping us behind us, our support. And you all have it, and it's wonderful. And I love listening to all your stories. And I thank you very much for sharing. But I thought you should know, you all have that common thing there. The value of Vallejo there. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so let's do our next question here. So Simone, what setback have you faced in your journey and how did you overcome it?
I have to start to say, I love that Italian fire you have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was waiting on it. I was waiting for it and waiting for it, and there it is. I love that. I look forward to that every time I'm in the room with you. So talk about setbacks. So I am going to actually talk to my 17-year-old self when I say this.
Okay.
So newly graduated from high school and pregnant.
Okay.
Having to abandon a 4-year college scholarship
Oh, wow.
to the school of my dreams. Shout out to Oral Roberts University in Tulsa,
Woohoo!
Oklahoma.
Wow.
And to that girl that thought that all the things she had aspired to and thought she was setting up for herself, that they were no longer options. And I'd say to her, who knew that you didn't need options, you just needed an opportunity. And with that, I overcame the setback by trusting God to lead me, by not staying stuck there and in that place. I had no idea, I can't tell you, I had no idea it would look like this. But I did know that if I got up every day and if I did my best for that day, that there was nothing I couldn't accomplish. And so I just like to know everybody, anyone watching, to know that setbacks do come, great and small, but you can overcome them. Again, I use my faith and I use God as a great guide and compass for my life. And I just believe in doing good by people. I believe in doing good by people, and again, showing up and giving your best every day, and your best for whatever that day is. Because some days my Tuesday best might not be as good as my Thursday best.
Okay.
But it's my best that I have for that day. And in doing that, again, I didn't know it could look like this. I had no idea that I would be owning a $500,000 firm. That could even be an option, you know, for a girl like me. I was born in Vallejo. I moved to Chicago as a high school student. My father's family was from there. So shout out, I saw the Chicago beverage you had back there too. And I just didn't think that this could ever be an option. No one could have told me it could be this for me. But I showed up every day, and I know that that is where a big part of my success and my victory comes from.
I think it's important to recognize that you were open to the opportunities when they were presented.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't maybe fit what you thought your defined goal was, but you were open to the opportunity and willing to put the work in. And I think that's important to recognize.
Absolutely.
And you didn't let it overtake you, Simone.
God, no.
You could have easily just retracted and said, oh,
Well, she's a fireball, so I think all of that went into my daughter, and I just.
there you go. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing something that personal with us. So we truly appreciate it. Because
Absolutely.
Again, the setbacks, this is reality. Things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't let it overtake you. Get up out of bed. Go get it. Go get it. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you. Okay, let's say you get to follow that one.
Well, my gosh, I was looking for the tissue again. Thank you for your willingness to share your story. And you mentioned getting out of bed. And that was, I'm going to be vulnerable here and share that was my setback. There was a time in my life, in my personal life, when I lost my beloved mother that I spoke of earlier. And that caused me for a time not to have the ability to get up out of bed. And it was one of the deepest times of my life. And what got me through was a dream in which she came to me and she said, "Get up." She said, "Get up."
See what I mean?
And I had my 5-year-old daughter at the time, and I had a wonderful husband. You know, we're all just trying to figure it out, as Gigi said. But that was a time when I had a huge setback. And it was sheer grit and determination and a voice saying, get up out of bed. You've got work to do. Your daughter, Simone, as you say, needs you. And you've got to get her done for her. And what has gotten me through any other challenge that comes our way, and I said this last week too, is doing what I do with my heart, with my head, with having hope. And I also say a backbone, because if anything is worth doing, you got to have that backbone. And my family and my faith, I would also agree. And my willingness to seek out help. And I will tell you that I went to my doctor as my hair was falling out, and I said, I need pills. And he said, no. He said, you don't need pills. You need sunshine, and we will get you the help that you need. And sometimes pills is appropriate. Absolutely. Medication is appropriate. And if it is, yes, do whatever it takes. In this case, it was leaning on my family and my faith and just pulling that sheer grit and determination out of the deepest depths of my soul, of my sadness.
I believe, I'm a believer. I believe your mother was saying to get up because she knew you had something to do. You had a lot of unfinished business that you need to be taken care of. And, just grab those sheets, pull those babies over, get your feet on the ground and walk.
Yeah.
I was there when you walked, and I know you can walk and you can get the job done. And that was it. That was exactly it. God love you.
I have
What
to
a
say, I
story.
think whenever Lisette's on, I'm gonna have to make sure there's tissue.
No,
That's two in a row.
Well, that was great. Again, thank you. Really, thank you so much for sharing, because people, they need to hear this. This is reality. It's truthful, and it's from the hardness. This is great. So thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Corrine Oakes, how about you? Did you have a setback, my friend?
The only thing that came to mind when you were talking setback was more in a business sense.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's fine.
For me, it was 2009 financial crisis, being in the state business. And what I remember most was it was a financial setback, huge, but it quickly turned to fear of losing what we had built. If somebody moved out of one of the rental properties, we didn't have the money to make the mortgage payment. I mean, we were definitely holding on, and I was working as hard as I could, everything I could think of to make sure that there was a cushion there. My husband and I were doing what we could, just because we knew we were very precarious. But it just started to overtake us because of the fear of knowing that we were just on that precipice. And to overcome that, I just needed to find serenity. Realized that it was important to make sure we could get the kids through college. The investments that we had made in properties, if those went away, that wasn't going to change our life on a day-to-day basis. But it was a long time to find that peace and to understand that those were things that could very well have disappeared, but there would be a tomorrow to start again. So really overcoming the setback was just finding peace, that there were some things I couldn't control, that all I could control was my efforts, and my attitude. And so we finally resolved ourselves to knowing that we didn't know what the outcome would be, but we could also not control the outcome. All we could do is make our best effort. And so sleeping again, just knowing that we can't control everything. And those things that we can't control, we need to allow to leave our, you know, we just can't do it. We need to let it go. And that's it.
No,
It
that's
sounds,
more than it
it
is.
sounds so simple. I mean, why didn't you do that to begin with?
Yeah. It just proves, you know, that when we go for our careers, our goals, whether it's a business, there's that risk factor, you know, that we're living with. That's always in the back of our minds. You know, is this going to succeed? You know, did I get that right equipment? Is this going to be the equipment that's going to help them? You know, it's just whatever it might be. There's always that risk factor, but you overcame it and you did well. And thank you very much for sharing, because that's very real. You bet. I'm with you. Gigi Horton, talk to us. Tell us, did you have to face a setback, my friend?
Gosh, my life began as a setback.
Yeah.
I mean, very humble beginnings for me. I'm the youngest of 7, and my parents were, you know, just trying to survive in America. You know, so I tell this story that, you know, I used to get my toys when I was a child from Toys for Tots. That's how I got my gifts. But we were happy. We never knew that we were missing out. My mom was a very prayerful, faithful woman. And as long as we had food on the table, and we had people all around us and we could share it, it was a party and it was happy. I think that my faith has been my guide in my life. And whenever setbacks happen, I mean, right now there's just so many, you know, COVID could be a setback, and, you know, all of these things, but throughout my life, and I've had some serious setbacks, I have to say, things that probably could devastate a person for the rest of their life. And when I was in the midst of all of it, there's always so much noise in your mind, because you are listening to a lot of things. Fear is so noisy. It doesn't allow you to find the peace that you're looking for. And I think it was just a moment in time where I literally just shut down all the noise. And it was through, you know, this has become, you know, it was through prayer. But when I stopped the noise of fear and doubt and all of those things, and I realized that I could probably have a million excuses as to why I couldn't continue, why I couldn't wake up the next day, why I didn't want to, but that wasn't going to do anything for me. And I think one of the things when I started listening to my inner voice, which was coming from something beyond my understanding, that I was always getting a hope in the future, and that I wanted to tell the despite story. Despite the setbacks, I became and I overcame, because I did it. I woke up and I put my clothes on and I put a little lipstick on and woke up and just, you know, did it. Instead of having the excuse, well, because of this situation, you know, I mean, sure, people feel sorry for me and all of that, but what good is that for me? It's not gonna get me to where I, you know, wanted to go. So it's really just listening to yourself and overcoming the fear, because I realized that failure is not when you do something and you don't succeed in it. Failure is when you just don't do anything. So yeah, in my 51 years of life, and my mom's voice, who she died 20 years ago this year, it was always that, you know. And honestly, there was days when I didn't think that I could survive what I was feeling. It just felt so heavy, you know. But you know, faith, prayer, and just letting the noise just go away from me and just listening to, you know, what I knew that there was going to be hope in the future, and just being satisfied with just the simplest things. Like, instead of always aiming for, you know, something really distant, you know, I mean, I'll aim for the stars, but I'm happy if I can reach the moon, you know, and celebrating it. Just celebrate any little thing that you achieve. So today I celebrate being with a bunch of wonderful women. And, you know, I've been touched by everything that everyone says. And it reminded me back to my humbled years that sometimes, you know, you get caught up and you forget, but everyone does have a story. And realizing that we're all human, and that, you know, the only difference between a person that achieves and doesn't achieve is that the person that achieved went for it. So just go for it, regardless of what is going on.
I gotta be honest with you, Tina, I didn't know I was gonna get into this. I mean, this is way beyond. I mean, the stories, you have no idea how wonderful this is. And I mean that in all due sincerity. Gigi, I tell you, in all my years, I've never heard the comment, fear is noisy. That I'm telling you, that is powerful. I mean, because, you know, fear, I mean, fear in just different things, whether it's, you know, in my situation, I'm born and raised in Sacramento. I just moved to Solano County. There's fear. Okay. I mean, sure, we have a business here, but the fear, you know, the fear of the neighbor, the fear of the people, you know, it's just fear, and it's noisy. It is, because it keeps me up, and I'm just like going, oh my God, you know, and it's like, yeah, fear is noisy. Doggone it, that's exactly what it is. And you want to put a muzzle on it, you know, so your decision of, okay, yeah, you know what, knock it off. I'm going to stop. I'm going to get control of the situation, and I'm going to do something with it. And I'll show who's boss, which with the four of you, it's obviously. And it, you know, I'm telling you, great advice, I mean, failure, you know, failure is when you just don't do anything, Gigi. And I can't thank you enough for, yeah, I didn't know I was going to be going to a session here, you know, just different ideas, different thoughts. And that's what this is all about. It's what people need to hear, and that we go through the ups, the downs. This is what it's all about, and being able to have the control to continue on. That's what it's all about. So I thank you again. Okay, we do have obviously another question, and this question, Simone, states, what advice do you have to share with the attendees?
It's been so much good stuff that has been shared already. Let's see, I would say, I would tell attendees that you determine your success. I would say that every day is a choice, and that the seeds that you plant today will take root, and they'll become your harvest. One thing I do in my business is I have clients write a letter to their latter or older self, telling them that I was thinking of you when I was younger, and I made provision for you to have a good life. And so doing those things, thinking of putting one foot in front of the other and taking steps and thinking beyond just the moment, because it is a season. It is a season, and you get to choose. You get to choose, you frame. And the one really important thing I want to say is that we frame our world with our words. So speak well, speak good, speak the answer, speak what you believe it to be, not what it looks like, because we frame our world with our words.
We most certainly do. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Those are very good advice. And I love the fact you have them write a letter to themselves, that, you know, in the latter years. And don't be mad at me. I tried helping you. I tried. I did the best I could.
But I was thinking of you. I
think that's great. I love it. Good for you. Lisette, how about you?
Wow. Well, I have to say, fear is noisy. I wrote it down. Thank you, Gigi.
Yeah.
That's going on my
my blackboard. I'm with you on that.
That is fabulous.
It is fabulous.
You know, I think what I would say is, and what I started with was be authentic, be you. Don't try to be anybody else but you. I think too often we come across people that are trying to be something that they're not. And authenticity is at the core, I think,
It
of
is.
success. So I would give that advice. I would also, for women, to treat every experience as an opportunity. When I went into teaching, never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that I would be serving as the county superintendent of schools.
That's right.
That is not what I set out to do. What I set out to do was to pursue my passion, to pursue what my love, which was teaching. And when people came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder, often I took the opportunity and said yes. So that would be another piece of advice. So often I've heard people say, well, you know, it's okay to say no. Yes, it's okay to say no to certain things where you have your parameters of what you will and what you won't do. In other cases, don't let fear, as Gigi said, stifle you. Don't let fear of the unknown paralyze you. It's okay to sometimes say, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to say yes to this. I'm going to say yes. I'm not sure where it will take me. But too often we are our own worst enemy. And the first thing that comes out of our mouth is, I can't do that. And no, thank you. I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. I don't have the time. I don't have the support. And so I would also give the advice to be a risk taker and say yes when you think you might say no. And finally, I would say to support others in their journey as well.
Absolutely.
Be the one who not only supports someone else and mentors them, but also be their sponsor. And the difference between being a mentor and a sponsor is a mentor is someone who a person can go to. A sponsor is someone who will put your name out there. When you're sitting in a room having a meeting and someone says, well, gosh, you know, I'm really thinking, I'm looking for blah, blah, blah. And you raise your hand and you say, you know what? I know of this person. She, I'm going to say in this case, fits the bill perfectly. Please call her. That's what being a sponsor is.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to be formal, right? Often our greatest mentors are not, hey, will you please be my mentor? No. Our mentors we find in sometimes the most unexpected places. And being a sponsor can be the same way as well. So not only mentor those who are coming behind us or alongside us, but also be willing to put somebody's name out there, a female who you know will take an opportunity and run with it, but no one maybe put their name out there. So just a couple of pieces of advice that I know for me have made a difference. And resist being your own worst enemy.
Good advice. Excellent advice. Yes, very good advice. You know, the one thing you said that's so true is that at the end of the day, you're accountable for yourself, right? That's why you should always be yourself. Don't be what somebody wants you to be. And then if it doesn't work out, and don't go there. Don't go there. You be you, because you're you for a reason. And I'm, that's the one thing. But I believe so much in what you just said at the end there about sponsoring and giving that extra push to somebody that really feels they don't believe, I'm not ready, I'm not going to do it. I can't do that. Come on, and you're going, no, I think you can. And I know you can because you've already done this. This makes sense. But no. And sometimes all they need is that little push, that little reinforcement, right? That you can do it. And that's it. So yeah, definitely. All right, Corrine, my friend, what advice do you have, my friend?
I'm been listening intently to everything that the other panelists are saying. And Tina, you hit on this and reviewing about the core values. And I just wanted to zero in on that just a little bit more, because we've also talked about noise. But if you're making your decisions in your life, make those same decisions that you would use in life and business. I mean, it's all one and the same. And if you do have a core value, it does take away all the distractions. Immediately, there's all this chafe that you can just get out of the picture because it is not who you are. So being authentic, and I feel like I'm just echoing all the points that have been said already, but I think they're important because it's a common theme amongst everybody here. They are what's important, is just be focused, be true to yourself, and get out of your comfort zone. I wouldn't be here today if I stayed in my comfort zone. This is very uncomfortable for me to be talking to people and giving advice. So, and especially be following Lisette. Oh my God. Lisette, you are amazing. You're inspirational. I love following right behind you is tough.
You
So
are
anyway,
too, Corrine.
It's been a great experience. I'm glad I said yes.
We're glad you said yes.
And thank you for the opportunity.
We're glad you said yes. Okay, Gigi Horton, how about advice from you?
I mean, ditto to everything that everyone's already said. But honestly, it is, knowing your purpose. You really, I mean, if you're going to go for something, you better understand know your purpose. Why are you doing it? So, I mean, your why. Have a vision of what you really, foresee, and keep your faith. Share with your family. Like I always say, do inventory every day with yourself, with your family or whoever is your circle, so that when you talk about it and you do the inventory, you don't wait too long to figure out that you're out of something and then not have it at all. So if if your energy is running low, if you're feeling frustrated, angry, scared, happy, how often are you feeling these things? And take inventory. If your stock on happiness is really low and your stock on, just worry and guilt, whatever it is that you feel on a daily basis because of whatever you're trying to achieve, you have to take a look at it. Is it still in line with what your purpose is? Regardless of what that is, and is it because of the title? Is it because of money? Why are you doing it? Because is any of that worth, feeling maybe more negative than positive? So, I mean, because your happiness is defined by you if you accept your happiness at whatever level of your life you're in. And so, take inventory every day and see if your purpose is still your purpose and your vision still your vision, and then that your family, that you're not that you're not forgetting them, you're not working too long, too often. It's not about the quantity of time. It isn't. It's about the quality of time. And that's always been the mantra between my husband and I, because if we, we had to both give and take. And I wasn't afraid to ask for the time that I needed to do what I needed to do. And I wasn't resentful to give the time that, you know, he needed or my children needed. So, you know, always realize that it's not about the quantity of time, it's the quality. You know, doing this in the middle of talking is not quality. If you're really gonna do it, have dinner, you know, but laugh and, you know, tell your fears, everything to somebody. That way you hear yourself say it. And then maybe it's not as bad. So anyways, just believe in yourself and believe that God is in charge of your life, and that if you put your faith, then there's nothing that's impossible.
Perfect. Well said. You know, it's like having your inventory, the body gauge, right?
I love that.
If you know it's just time, it's time to stop, go out, go take a walk. Feel the fresh air. Hopefully it's not smoky outside, but just get out there, do something. You just need to walk away, step away from it. Know when enough is enough, right? And that's for your whole persona. So, but you guys are wonderful. So we do have another question that's coming from our audience, and I'd like to just throw it out there, and perhaps if you might have it. The question is, ladies, what is your definition of success?
I also want to take a second and encourage the rest of our attendees, please submit your questions. This is not intended to be just us talking to you. I really want to encourage that participation. So if you have questions, you're never going to get another panel quite like this.
And no, you're not.
You know, this is, I want to thank everyone for being so vulnerable and telling their stories. I think it's important that we recognize that, because I think a lot of times when we think about successful people, we don't think of them as being vulnerable. And so then when we're comparing ourselves and our journey to our mentors or to the people that we see, we think, you know, oh my gosh, they never felt like this, or they never had to deal with any of this. So I think that vulnerability that you guys showed, I really appreciate that, because I think it is very inspiring to those that are following in the steps. So I'm sorry. So I'm encouraging you, please put your questions in the Q&A so we can continue this.
So someone is asking,
Go to the first one.
what is your definition of success? Anyone want to take that one on? Go ahead, Gigi.
I said it earlier, and honestly, I've been saying that even when I was being interviewed by like this big panel to get my first agency 18 years ago. You know, they give you these quotas or whatever, and then you got to be number one. You can be number one agent, number one this, but I never strive to be number one, to have the number one business or whatever that looks like. Like I mentioned, for me, reaching success is where I can have all of the things that are important to me be balanced, and none of it is suffering. At least not for too long, because sometimes there's things that need more attention. But I mean, when I can wake up and know that I've given it my all, and I'm proud of myself from within, that I don't feel guilty about not doing something that I thought I should have done. So waking up satisfied, and, you know, still married, and, you know, my children.
Having itself as a job, my friend. Yes.
You know, that I can, you know, I love to cook. I love to do all of these things. And I mean, a perfect day is when I can have a slam dunk day at my office and come home and make a slam dunk dinner and feed 50 people, you know? So, I mean, and.
Did you say 50 people?
Yeah, I can easily do that. But, and.
Let me just tell you, if you ever get an invite to a Gigi Horton party, do not turn it down. I'm just telling you, do not turn it down.
All right, here we go, Gigi.
Yeah. And if I have a lot of people that are happy because of something, whether not even with just my business, but making a difference. Someone kept saying that you just make a difference in someone's life, and that's success. You know, it's not about, you know, what we think it is when you're little and you're like, I want to be a doctor. I could never be a doctor. I don't, you know, I couldn't do the things that doctors do, you know, but I don't feel less of a.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, it's just having that perfect, not perfect, but a balanced life.
Thank you. Thank you. Another question that's coming in is, how many of you have mission statements for your work, you know, for your business or for yourself? And just curious to know if you have mission statements and what are your mission statements?
Well, go ahead.
But go ahead.
I was going to say at the County Office of Education, and it, you know, this was a whole iterative process, but our vision is to support young people to learn, grow, and thrive and achieve lifelong success.
Right. That's it.
And our mission is reaching out to community partners, bringing community partners, our school districts, our parents, our families together to create those opportunities that will help us to achieve our vision, because it takes partnership. For us, it's as simple as that. And I think it really goes to my core value as well personally. That's what I always set out to do, was to help young people to learn, grow, thrive, and achieve lifelong success. And I think if it's something that you can roll off your tongue, then you know it's authentic.
Right.
You know you've got it.
You got it. You're darn right. Anyone else want to answer that?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a mission and vision, which aligns with, you know, my company's mission and vision. And obviously in the insurance world, you know, our purpose is to help people recover from the risk of everyday life, and then to help them realize their dreams, you know, so it's protection. But I, you know, I'm a people person and people are my business. So, you know, it's basically that. I mean, I love what I do. People think insurance work is boring, but right now, I mean, there's so many people that are at a loss and they're, you know, suffering, and there's no better feeling for me when I can give somebody a check or, you know, be the solve to this problem that they have, and educating everybody about the importance of it. You know, I mean, I still I'm very humbled by what I'm able to do with people. And it's a people business, you know.
That's right, it is. And I'm sure you're seeing a lot, and the stories are enough to probably break your heart in a lot of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. So you have a question, Francina?
Yeah, so we have a couple of questions in the chat that I'm just going to read, if that's all right. And the first one was, who is your greatest support? So when you think back across your thing, who was the person that was your greatest support?
I would say for me, it was my parents. Again, going back, I often go back and talk to that and think about that 17-year-old girl. But as a believer, we hear of God's unconditional love. And I always say that, I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
That I saw it in the natural. I saw unconditional love in my home at a time when I needed it most. Sorry.
No, I got you. Thank you again, Simone. God love you. Thank you.
So my parents, they were a great support. My dad's no longer here, my mother is, and she remains a huge support. I actually married into a huge family that has been nothing but a support, and my husband has been a huge support. I have a great team. I don't talk a lot, so sometimes I forget to share, and I hope they never think that I'm not thinking of them because I don't say it often in public. They get lots of love at home, but I don't say it publicly just because I don't talk a lot. but my family has been a pivotal in my success.
Thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. That's great.
Anyone else want to share who their greatest support is?
I echo Simone. I have to say that my family, and you know, I said this the other day, my mother wasn't educated. She only earned her high school diploma after she was 40 years old through correspondence school. You know, they didn't have distance learning back then, but she never stopped believing in us. And I always remember she said that her greatest accomplishment was her children, was her own children, and she poured her heart and soul into them. And so my mother believed in us. She was tough. She was rough. I'm not going to say she, you know, it was all wine and roses, but you know, it was very strict upbringing, and we knew what our boundaries were.
Right.
And it was unconditional love, Simone. I never doubted that she absolutely loved me. And I also will say my husband, who is like, what do you want to go do? Go do it. Have at it. Never, ever once.
Isn't that wonderful?
As he stood in my way, and having a partner who believes in you and loves you unconditionally, and is like, you know, let me step out of the way, you go do it. And on many occasions he said, I'll be right here waiting for you when you get back. And my daughter, who now is 25, and you know, is just such a joy. And my sisters, my siblings, and my brothers. I say that my family, I completely agree with you, Simone. I couldn't do what I do. And, you know, sometimes it's crazy stuff I get into, and without my husband and family.
You know, we're talking about women in business, women. I mean, our moms. My mom raised 7 kids plus I think my dad's siblings. But my mom was, she only had a 6th grade education, and but she was the wisest woman I knew, because she always spoke with wisdom, and it was always value based. You know, it was always morals and integrity, truth, hard work, all of these things that, you know, you learn not from a book, you know, it's from upbringing. My mom I was the first of my siblings to go to college, and I had to do it way after in life. But my mom missed me graduating from college by 8 months. She passed away right before. But her guidance and her strength as a woman herself, surviving through so many things, she was like my voice that told me I could do it. And she even said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it to your graduation. She goes, but you know, she says, I don't even need to be there in you know, in person. She says, because one, she said, she always spoke positivity in me. And she always said, I know you're going to make it. I know you're going to do good. Like, I prayed to God, and God, you know, kind of just told me. I mean, I'm not a planned kid. I'm the number 7. But I always joke about that. But, you know, even to this very day, she is still giving me advice that is embedded deep within me. So when I have doubt, I listen to her voice, you know, and she's successful. She had 7 kids, 20 grandchildren, and now currently she's on number 27 great grandkids.
Oh, wow.
You know,
That's
things we've got.
That's why you know how to cook for so many people.
The secret is out. Now I get it.
We've got a lot of, you know, people who have taken on this value system that our parents put upon us, and they're doing it, you know. So just never giving up and believing in yourself more than sometimes you don't even believe in yourself. But when you have a fan like that,
You
it,
do. That's right.
it can catapult you. And
They
I,
just keep reminding you.
yep. And my husband, you know, again, I was 19 years old when I met my husband, and we've been married for 28 years now. And
Isn't
every
that
day he's
lovely?
still my greatest fan, you know, and his strength when I need it is huge.
Fantastic. It's really fantastic.
I want to take a second though to kind of talk a little bit, and I don't want to throw my mom under the bus. My mom was very supportive, but when I think about how I've done what I've done or how I've gotten to where I am, it's not that my mom wasn't supportive, but I didn't come from a home where my mom, I didn't come from a home where they knew how to help me get to the goals that I wanted to get to. And so it's not to throw my mom, she was a loving, wonderful person, is a loving, wonderful person, but she just didn't have the skill set to help me get from where I was to where I wanted to go. And so I wonder, for those of us, I mean, you guys have been in your careers long enough that you've mentored other people. What advice do you have for those people who don't have those parents at home that, or who have, you know, like for me, mine was supportive but didn't know. There's a lot of people whose parents are horrible to them, unfortunately. And so what advice do you have for those people to find someone?
Well, I know with working with young people, you know, so often you hear that what made them successful, even under very challenging circumstances, whether it be, you know, poverty, homelessness, it wasn't necessarily someone in their family, but it was someone outside of their family who believed in them. And one person can make a difference. So the advice I would give is if you know that you have a dream, you know that you want to pursue it, or you might not know what the dream is, but you know that you want something different, to go outside of that circle. Don't be afraid, but be a risk taker. And when you see someone out there that is being successful, by golly, don't be afraid to walk right up to them. And it's hard to say now, put your hand in theirs, but let's laugh a little bit, but seek others out. And if you see someone who is in that position, don't be afraid to walk up to them and reach out to them, because you may be that one person who this young person, I'm just going to put in the context of education, is seeking.
Thank you. All right, so we have another question over here in the chat. Do you guys ever get frustrated about what women are expected to achieve versus men?
Every day.
All the time.
Amen.
All the time.
Absolutely.
I'll tell a story. I went to a conference in Denver a year ago, and I'm in this hotel, and the other, and I could tell they were financial advisors. I'm sorry, I'll be quite frank, there is a look. And so I knew they were advisors, so I tried to engage, and it just wasn't happening. They just, you know, had no idea. Not that I am somebody, but they just didn't know who they were in the room with either. And it hit me that I can't, because I got a little disturbed in that. I got frustrated. I got, you know, I'll put it this way, I felt a certain way about it, and it bothered me. But then I had to reconcile with Simone and say, I can only be Simone, the financial advisor. I can't, and it's not going to look like, my former partner. It's not going to look like others. It's going to look like this space right here. And it's going to sound like this voice right here. And I had to resolve that that was good enough, and that I was going to do and be the best advisor I could be, and that there's a person, and I have clients that are only going to hear my voice, that they're for me, that they're only going to hear it the way I say it. And so I had to position myself and recognize that. And that's when the load for me came off, because then I wasn't trying to be like a man, because we're not men. We're women, and that's our superpower. And, and
That's
we're going to use it and exercise it all day long.
And that's something they cannot have.
Right.
Right, I'm with you.
All right, so now we have another question over in the Q&A, and that is, how do you ladies manage business time versus family time? Do you have a set schedule, or how do you make sure that you balance both?
Well, I'll answer that because that was always a struggle, especially when cell phones came in. Before, it's much easier to ignore, but being in real estate, you know, it's a big deal when people are trying to buy or sell a home. It's huge for them. And so that was probably a common source of conflict within the family, was my accessibility, but I felt that I needed to be that way. So finding that balance was hard. But at the same time, I know I was able to go on the school trips with the kids because of the cell phone. And when I'd answer the phone, the kid, you know, my son or my daughter would roll their eyes, and then one of their classmates would kind of remind them that actually their mom got to be there, should maybe cut me some slack. So it was always kind of having the other kids there to put some perspective on it. But when I am with a client, and this might sound kind of bad, when I'm with a client, my phone is off. Nobody else is going to call me. It's on silent. I'll pick it up if it's a family member, for fear that something might, you know, be wrong. But in hindsight, I wished I would have extended that same courtesy to my family.
Yeah.
Just never thought of it till they were all gone.
Yeah.
What I love about being, you know, my own boss is my flexibility. So because of my flexibility, you know, I was able to make sure that I carved out time for certain things for my family. And I know that's not always something that you can have, but you just have to make it a priority. So putting it on the calendar and saying that you're going to do this and sticking to it, you know, if you break it too often, then it's meaningless, you know, but if you really stick to it and something comes up and you have to be flexible, you're flexible, you know, the other way too. So that's been the secret of my life, is really just being flexible. You know, we've had to do Christmas because of my husband's career on the 28th of December. My kids didn't know any different because they weren't really paying attention to the calendar, but you know, we still made it special. So it's just making sure that you're knowing that what you give, what you put in, and what you take has to be equal. So it's really just making it a priority and communicating with your spouse, with your family, and with your people at work, you know.
And just like the way you do your work and you do your family, you're thinking outside the box and you're going to make it work. They celebrated Christmas, not on the 25th, but they celebrated, and it was happy. They're all happy. You're happy, life is good. And that's what success is to keep it going, think, and just be motivated, be positive. Is that glass half full or half empty? Well, let's make it half full. Let's make it that way. And it can be done. And you know, that's my feeling on that.
I want to thank you guys all. 20 years ago, when I was in my corporate world, there were 3 women and 100 men in my department.
Yeah,
I worked in a utility. I worked for PG&E. And I was very lucky that I found a mentor and a sponsor who spoke last year. She was one of the panelists last year with Helen, Ophelia Bescal. And Ophelia is an immigrant that had come to this country and really just done so much. And I was so inspired by her. And she helped me to see that if I was going to do anything in life, I needed to find women to support me. And I came back to Solano County after going to all these women's conferences, and I tell everybody all the time I come back, I am a woman, I hear me roar. And then I came to Solano County and I did not find a lot of like-minded women. I struggled with finding that. And so one of my goals in the past 2 years, and my committee who's been helping me with this for the last 2 years knows this about me, but this is my baby. Having people come together like this and inspire other women and support other women and give them advice on things that they can do. There is nothing stronger in the world than womanhood and sisterhood. And so one of my goals, and I'm going to let Helen close this out, but one of my goals is coming to fruition this year. There are a few books that I've read in my life that have changed my life. And one of them is a book written by Jackie Spear, Jan Yanahiro, and this is horrible, but two other women whose names I can't remember. But the book is called This Is Not the Life I Ordered. And part of that is a women in transition section. And I'm going to use that to create my own. I will tell you, I struggled with the name of this because in the book, she calls them kitchen table counseling sessions. And I didn't like that because I don't like the idea, the symbolism of us sitting at a kitchen table. So I went very basic and I'm calling it Women Supporting Women. And on October 23rd, we're gonna have our first Women Supporting Women meeting at 5:30. It will be via Zoom for the year 2020 because of COVID. I'm hoping in 2021, it will turn into something that we can actually meet. But the intention of that is to do these kinds of conversations. And the one on the 23rd is gonna start literally with the questions, who are you? What are you working on? How can I help you? And do I know anyone that can help you? And those are gonna be the 4 questions that's gonna drive that opening October 23rd. So I wanna throw my own little plug out there for that. I will email all of you the webinar information, not webinar, it'll be a Zoom meeting. I want us all to see each other. So it will just be a Zoom meeting. But I want to throw that out there because I think these kinds of conversations, these vulnerable conversations, as I listen to all of you guys, talking about things, I come from a large family and it's so large that we don't even know each other. And so I had to find my family and I had to find who that was. And so a lot of us were born into great families that were very supportive. I found my family to support me and my supporters. And so that's what I want to do with this is help people find those things. So I wanted to do my little plug there. I will email everybody. I want to invite everybody. We're going to continue the webinar series every Wednesday in October. Our next one is going to be talking a little bit about the imposter syndrome and what it is. We've got experts and people who have suffered from it and let themselves be held back by it. So that is the next one. And I will be emailing all of you guys the link, but if you want to go register, it's on the chamber website for next week, the 14th from 3:30 to 5. I'm going to be emotional, but I cannot thank you guys enough for helping to make this dream of mine come through. So I'm going to pass it back to Helen to close it all up. But thank you guys so much for being such an important part of this. And I forgot one more thing. There's one more really important person on our committee that we forgot to thank at the beginning. And I don't know if she's still on there, but Jenna Medina was instrumental in helping me connect with some of our panelists. So I want to say thank you to Jana. And I'm so sorry we missed you in the beginning.
Ladies, I want to thank you because this could not have been a success without you. Simone Lane, it's been a pleasure. Lisette Estrella-Henderson, definitely pleasure. Both of you are dynamic, along with Corrine Oakes. I bid you so much goodwill on your retirement and don't stray too far away from us, please do not. And Gigi Horton, thank you again for your wise saying, and I've got it in paper now here to remember. And but you do, all 4 of you do need to know that you are wonderful, and we cannot thank you enough for sharing your success stories and guiding the people that were listening to how you did it, and you did it your way. And that's what's important for us. and in helping the Vallejo Chamber of Commerce, honor National Women's Business, Small Business. Okay, I'm gonna say National Women's Small Business Month. That way I don't mess it up. Again, ladies, thank you so much for your time, taking it out of your schedule. I feel I have 4 new close friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you all.
God bless you. Bye-bye.